model to make the Phoebe Phone Bag. It has adjustable straps, a magnetic clasp, a pocket for your phone. It's plenty big enough for the bigger phones, and here's how you make it. Using template 1, you need to cut out 3 pieces in your main fabric, which I've done, and I've put interfacing on all 3 pieces. That's for the front, for the back, and for one of the pockets. Using template 2, you need to cut out 1 in your main fabric, and again put some interfacing on the back, and 1 in your lining fabric, and this is for the flap. Using template 1 again, we're going to cut out the lining, and there's no interfacing this time. Finally, we cut out 1 front pocket using template number 3, again no interfacing on. You should now have 8 pieces of fabric, and the other items you'll need are 2 meters of 15mm webbing, a slider to fit a 15mm webbing, and a D-ring, again to fit 15mm, and then you'll need a magnetic clasp for the front. We'll start by making the flap. Here are your 2 pieces that you'll need for your flap. Take your lining piece of flap fabric, turn it over, make a crease to determine the centre, and then measure up from the edge 4 centimetres and put a mark. Place the magnetic clasp over the mark you've made, and then with your pen mark along that line and along there. I've removed the back plate, and I'm going to take my seam ripper and I'm going to carefully cut the little slit there and the little slit there. You might want to practice on some spare fabric if you've not done this before. If you've made the slits, push your magnetic clasp in from the front, turn it over, put the back plate on, and then carefully bend your prongs back, and that is all finished. Place flap main fabric now on top. Carefully line up all your edges, and then we're going to clip them. I've ensured that the magnetic clasp is there, and I've clipped all the way along there, along the bottom and up the top, and I've left this bit open. And I'm going to take it to my sewing machine, and I'm going to start there and sew all along there and stop, all along there and stop, and all along there and stop. I've sewn all along the 3 sides, and I've left the top open, and I've clipped the corners, and now I'm going to turn it the right way round and give it a press and top stitch it. The flap's now finished. I've turned it the right way, I've pressed it, and I've top stitched all along there, all along there, and all along there. And as you can see, the top is still open, that's correct. Now we're going to make the front pocket. Fold your fabric in half to determine the centre and measure 8 centimetres up from the bottom, and mark as before where the magnetic clasp's going to go. I'll push the magnetic clasp in from the front, attach the backing plate and folded the prongs over. Fold your fabric in half, press along there, and that's your front pocket finished for time being. We're making the front big pocket. Take your largest piece of fabric you cut out, fold it in half, press it, and then take it to your machine and top stitch all along there. I've folded the fabric in half, I've pressed it, and I've top stitched all along there. We're going to put the front all together. Take your front main piece with the interfacing on, place the pocket you've just made on top, and then place the pocket with the magnetic clasp underneath. I've clipped the front pockets into place and I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to sew really close to the edge. You won't see these stitches at the final bag, and it's just to keep it into place really, and I just do that side and I do that side. I've tacked the pockets along there and along there, and I'm going to put that to one side while we start on the straps. To make the strap, take your 2 meters of webbing and cut off 8 centimeters from the end. Thread the webbing through the first part of the slider and push it through the other side. Pull it along, turn it over, and then take that piece and place it there. Tuck a bit under to stop the raw edges. Clip it, and then we're going to sew along there. I've folded it over and I've sewn. I've used white cotton so you can see, but you'd use dark cotton to match the webbing. Now take your D-ring and the other end of your webbing and place your D-ring through there and push it up out the way. Next, take that end and thread it through there and back on itself through there. And pull it along. Now take the 8 centimeter piece you cut off earlier, take your D-ring and thread it through there. It's easy if you clip it now and then just do a line of stitches along there. And that's now the strap finished. Now we're going to attach the strap to the back of the bag. Take your back piece of fabric and attach the strap 2 centimeters from the edge each side and clip into place. Ensure that you're looking at the front of the slider and make sure that all the strap isn't twisted. Now I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to make some small tacking stitches along there and along there just to keep the strap in place. I've tacked the straps in place. Now take your flap you've already made and place it so right sides are together and you can see the magnetic strap. Line it up on the top and clip into place. And now with the flap lying centrally at the top of the bag, I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to tack close to the edge to keep the flap in place. I've tacked the flap and the straps across, and the next part is take one of your lining pieces and place right sides together on the top, line up the top edge and clip along there. I've clipped it into place and now I'm going to take it to the machine and using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, I'm going to start there and sew all along there, joining the lining to the back of the bag. I've sewn along there, joining the lining to the back of the bag, and now I'm going to put that to one side for the moment. Working on the front of the bag, take the front of your bag, the one with the magnetic clasp on the front, and place your other lining piece right sides together, line up the edges and clip into place. I've clipped it into place and now I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, start there and sew along there, joining the lining to the front of the bag. I've joined the lining to the front of the bag I've attached the lining to the front of the bag, and now we're going to join it all together. And now we're going to put it all together. Place the back piece with a flap attached flat on the table. Take your front piece and place it right sides together on top. Line up all the edges and line up these seams here and clip into place. I've clipped all the way around, leaving a gap at the very bottom in the lining for turning. I'm going to take it to the machine and I'm going to sew along there, along there, along there and to there. I've sewn all the way around using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and I've left a gap for turning, and that's the next part. I'm going to turn the bag through the gap we've left. I've turned it the right way around, and the last bit of sewing is to sew up the gap you left at the bottom of the lining. I've tucked the lining inside, and all that's left now is to fill your Phoebe phone bag with your phone in the big pocket and your cards in the smaller ones, and you're ready to go out.